My name is Sloan Barrett. I'm 32. You raised me to disappear. My mother said that to me 3 weeks ago, standing in her kitchen, sunlight pouring through the window like nothing was wrong. She said it the way someone might mention they're out of milk, casual, final. Like it was just a fact we'd both been living with all along. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. But I did something that night that made my entire family show up at my door at 7 in the morning, still in their pajamas, demanding to know what I'd done. And for the first time in my life, I didn't open it. Before I continue, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if this story resonates with you. Drop a comment with where you're watching from and what time it is right now. I genuinely read them all. Now let me take you back to 6 months ago, to the moment I realized I'd been funding my own erasure for 8 years straight. I need you to understand something about the Barrett women before this makes sense. My mother, Judith Barrett, is 61, sharp cheekbones, perfectly highlighted hair, the kind of woman who hosts book club and charity luncheons and expects you to feel grateful for the invitation. She's the glue, everyone always said. The one who keeps the family close. What they meant was, she kept everyone exactly where she wanted them. I'm the middle child. My older sister, Vanessa, is 36, married to a cardiologist, lives in a house with a 3-car garage and a kitchen island the size of my entire apartment. My younger sister, Paige, is 29, just finished graduate school for the second time. Different degree, same tuition bill. And me? I was the practical one, the responsible one, the one who worked in IT project management, kept her head down, and never asked for anything dramatic like attention or fairness or a seat at the actual table instead of the folding chair in the corner. My father died when I was 11. Heart attack. Sudden. The kind of loss that breaks a family open, and then you spend the rest of your life pretending the cracks aren't there. My mom became a widow at 43 with 3 daughters and a mortgage. She worked 2 jobs for years, medical billing during the day, retail on weekends. I remember her coming home at 9 p.m., smelling like department store perfume samples and exhaustion. She sacrificed, everyone said. She gave up everything for us. And I believed that. I believed it so deeply that when I graduated college and got my first real job, I didn't even think before I offered to help. "Mom," I said, "let me cover the car insurance. You've done so much." She cried. She hugged me. She told me I was her angel. That was 8 years ago. The car insurance became the cell phone plan. The cell phone plan became groceries. Groceries became the water bill, then the gas, then Paige's student loans because she's still finding herself, Sloan, you understand. Then Vanessa's kids' private school tuition because family helps family and you don't have children, so you have more flexibility. Flexibility. That word did a lot of heavy lifting. By the time I was 30, I was paying for, let me list this out clearly. My mother's mortgage, her car payment, her credit card minimums, Paige's rent, Vanessa's kids' tuition, the family cell phone plan, and every single holiday dinner we had at Mom's house. Not just the turkey. The entire meal for 12 people. 4 times a year. I made $78,000 a year. After taxes, rent, and my own bills, I had about $300 a month left. I stopped getting my hair cut professionally. I wore the same winter coat for 6 years. I never traveled, never went out to eat unless someone else paid, and I smiled through every single family gathering like I wasn't one emergency away from financial collapse. But here's the thing. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself once Paige graduated, once Vanessa's husband's practice took off, once Mom caught up, it would even out. I told myself they needed me. And maybe they did. But needing someone and seeing someone, those are 2 very different things. 6 months ago, my mom called me on a Thursday afternoon. I was in the middle of a project deadline, stressed, already planning to work through the weekend. "Sloan, honey," she said, her voice warm, familiar, "I need a favor." I should have counted how many times I'd heard that sentence. I didn't. I just said, "What's up?" I'm helping Vanessa plan her 10th anniversary party. We're doing it at the country club. Very elegant. The girls are so excited. I waited. We need about $5,000 for the deposit. Can you cover it? We'll pay you back after everyone contributes. I held the phone away from my face for a second. Breathed. $5,000. For a party. For Vanessa, who lived in a house worth $600,000. Mom, I don't have $5,000 just sitting around. Oh, sweetheart, I know money's tight, but this is important. It's a milestone. Family comes together for milestones. I'll see what I can do. I hung up. I stared at my laptop screen, and I did what I always did. I opened my credit card, the one I'd been trying to pay down for 2 years, and I put the deposit on it. Nobody paid me back. 3 months later, Vanessa posted photos from the party. String lights, champagne towers, a live band. In every picture, my mother stood at the center, glowing, surrounded by her daughters. I was in 2 photos, half out of frame, holding someone's purse. The caption said, "Grateful for a mother who taught us the meaning of family." I liked it. I even commented, "Beautiful night." Because that's what you do, right? You show up, you smile, you don't make it about you. A week after that party, I got an email, subject line, Barrett Family Reunion Planning Committee. I opened it. My mom had created a shared spreadsheet. There were line items for venue rental, catering, matching t-shirts, a photographer, a live band, decorations, and something labeled surprise element with a budget of $1,200. At the bottom, there was a tab that said contributions. Vanessa, $500. Paige, $200. Sloan, $9,300. I read that number 4 times. $9,300. There was a note in the comments section next to my name. Sloan doesn't have kids or a spouse, so she has more disposable income. This is fair. I didn't remember agreeing to this. I didn't remember anyone asking me. I closed my laptop. I sat on my couch in my tiny apartment, the one I could barely afford because I was too busy keeping everyone else's lives comfortable. And something inside me just cracked. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet split like ice on a windshield. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I opened my banking app and I did something I'd never done before. I looked at everything. 8 years of payments, spreadsheets, transfers, auto pays. I added it up. $167,000. That's what I'd given my family, not loaned, given, because none of it was ever paid back. None of it was ever acknowledged as anything other than what I was supposed to do. $167,000. And I had $4,100 in savings. I sat there until the sun went down, and then I made a decision. I didn't know what it would look like yet, but I knew one thing for absolute certain. I was done. The next morning, I called my bank. I removed my mother from my account, the joint access I'd given her years ago in case of emergencies. I canceled every single auto pay that wasn't mine. The mortgage, the car payment, the cell phone plan, all of it. Gone. Then I called my mom. "Sloan, I was just about to text you. Did you see the reunion spreadsheet? We need to finalize vendors by Friday." "Mom," I said, my voice steady, calm, "I'm not paying for the reunion." Silence. "What?" "I'm not paying $9,000 for a family reunion. I'm not paying $500. I'm not paying anything." "Sloan?" Her voice changed, less warmth, more edge. "This is a family event. We've already made commitments." "Then the family can pay for it, but I'm not." "You're being selfish." "Maybe, but I'm also being broke, Mom. I've given you $167,000 over 8 years. I'm done." You counted." Her voice sounded genuinely shocked, like the idea that I'd kept track of my own money was offensive. "Yeah, I did, and I'm stopping all the payments, the mortgage, the car, everything, as of today. You can't do this. I already did." I hung up. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from something else. Relief, maybe, or just the unfamiliar feeling of choosing myself. Within an hour, my phone lit up like a fireworks show. Texts from Vanessa, calls from Paige, a voicemail from my mom's sister, my Aunt Brenda, who I hadn't spoken to in 2 years, suddenly very concerned about family loyalty. I didn't answer any of them. I turned my phone on Do Not Disturb and I went to work. That night, my mom showed up at my apartment. I watched through the peephole as she knocked. She rang the doorbell. She knocked again, harder. "Sloan, I know you're in there. We need to talk about this." I stood on the other side of the door, silent, and I did something I'd never done before. I let her stand there. I didn't open it. I didn't explain. I didn't apologize. After 10 minutes, she left. 3 days later, Vanessa sent an email. It was long, emotional, full of words like disappointed and ungrateful and "after everything Mom's done for you." I read it once, then I archived it. Paige called me crying. "Sloan, what are we supposed to do? Mom can't afford the house without you." "She'll figure it out," I said, "or she'll downsize. People do it every day." "You sound so cold." "I'm not cold, Paige. I'm just not setting myself on fire anymore to keep everyone else warm." She hung up on me. Here's what I didn't tell them. Here's what I couldn't tell them, because they wouldn't have understood. I wasn't punishing anyone. I wasn't trying to hurt them. I was just stopping. Stopping the lie that my worth was measured by how much I could give. Stopping the pretending that I didn't matter as much as everyone else. Stopping the slow, quiet disappearance of myself. 2 weeks after I cut off the payments, my mom sold the house. Not because she had to, because she chose to. Turns out she'd been sitting on a decent amount of equity. She bought a condo, smaller, manageable, and suddenly, she was fine. Vanessa's husband's practice was doing well. Well enough that they didn't actually need me to pay for their kids' school. They just liked not having to. Paige got a job, a real one. Turns out, when you're not subsidizing someone's finding herself era indefinitely, they find themselves a lot faster. And me? I started therapy. I know that sounds like a punchline, but I needed it. I needed someone to tell me that what happened wasn't normal. That being told, you don't have kids, so you should pay for everything, wasn't love. It was using me. My therapist's name is Dr. Chen. She's in her 50s, has an office with plants everywhere. The first session, I barely made it through the door before I started apologizing. "I'm sorry, I know you're busy. I don't want to waste your time." She held up a hand, gentle but firm. "Sloan," she said, "stop apologizing for existing." I blinked. "What?" "You've apologized 4 times in 90 seconds for being here, for having feelings, for taking up space. That's what we're going to work on." I cried for 40 minutes straight, 8 years worth, sitting on her couch with a box of tissues that seemed bottomless. She asked me to do an exercise. "Tell me," she said, "about a time your family celebrated you. Not your help, not your money, just you." I sat there. I thought. I scrolled through memories like files on a computer. I couldn't find one. Every celebration had been about someone else. Every gathering had been me in the background, making sure everyone else was comfortable. My 25th birthday, I'd worked a double shift and then gone to Vanessa's house to babysit. My 30th, I'd hosted dinner at my apartment for the family. I'd cooked, cleaned, paid for everything. No one brought a gift. Paige brought her laundry. I don't think there was one," I finally said. Dr. Chen nodded. "Sloan, what your family did, that's called financial abuse. It's real. And it's just as damaging as any other kind." Financial abuse. I'd never heard those words put together like that. I'd thought abuse had to be loud, violent, obvious. I didn't realize it could be quiet, polite, wrapped in words like family and responsibility. My therapist asked me a question in our 3rd session that I still think about. "Sloan," she said, "when was the last time someone in your family asked you what you needed?" I couldn't answer. I genuinely could not think of a single time. "Not what you could give them," she continued. "Not what you could do, what you needed, what would make you happy." The silence in that room was so heavy I could feel it pressing on my chest. "Never," I whispered. "I don't think they've ever asked me that." She leaned forward. "Then let me ask you now. Sloan Barrett, what do you need?" And for the first time in my entire life, I let myself answer honestly. I need them to stop. I need space. I need to build a life where I'm not just the person who pays for everyone else's dreams. "Then that's what we're going to work toward," she said. That session changed something in me. It gave me permission. Permission to want things. Permission to say no. Permission to believe that my life mattered just as much as anyone else's. I started small. I bought myself flowers. Just a bouquet from the grocery store, $8, and I put them on my kitchen table because I wanted to, not because anyone was coming over, just because they made me happy. I started saying no. Family group chat asking who could drive 3 hours to help move furniture. "I can't, sorry." Paige texting at 11 p.m. asking for money for concert tickets? No, just no. No explanation. Every no felt like learning to breathe again. 4 months after I stopped paying, my mom sent me a text. Short. No apology. Just, "I'd like to see you. Coffee?" I didn't respond right away. I sat with it. I asked myself what I actually wanted, not what I was supposed to want, not what would keep the peace, what I, Sloan Barrett, actually wanted. I wanted to hear her say it. I wanted to hear her admit that she'd used me, that she'd taken and never once asked if I was okay. I texted back, "Only if you're ready to have an honest conversation." She replied an hour later, "I don't know what you mean." And that told me everything I needed to know. I didn't meet her for coffee, but I did write her a letter. I never sent it, but my therapist suggested I write it anyway. 10 pages, handwritten, every single thing I'd never said. Every hurt, every moment I'd swallowed my feelings, every dollar, every sacrifice. I wrote about the time I'd worked 16 days straight to cover Paige's security deposit, then showed up to help her move, and she never said thank you. I wrote about missing my best friend's wedding because I couldn't afford the flight after paying for Vanessa's anniversary party. I wrote it all, and then I burned it in my kitchen sink. Watched the pages curl and blacken. It felt ceremonial, final. Like I was cremating the version of myself who thought being needed was the same thing as being loved. The family group chat went quiet after I left it. Well, not quiet. I'm sure it's still very active. I just wasn't in it anymore. I'd removed myself one Tuesday afternoon and no one said a word about it, but I heard things through cousins, through my dad's sister, Aunt Linda, who'd always been kind to me. She called me one evening, her voice careful. "Sloan, honey, I don't know all the details, but I want you to know I'm proud of you." I almost cried. For what? For choosing yourself. Your mom called me. She wanted me to talk to you, convince you to come back. And I told her no. "You did?" "I did. Because I watched you disappear for years, Sloan. Every family event, you looked smaller, quieter, and your mom just let it happen. You were easier to manage when you didn't ask for anything." Hearing someone else say it, someone from the family, validate what I'd felt, it was like someone turned on a light in a room I'd been stumbling through in the dark. I didn't meet her for coffee. Maybe someday I will. Maybe someday she'll actually be ready to see what she did, but I'm not holding my breath. And more importantly, I'm not waiting for her to change before I start living my life. 3 weeks ago, I went to a family event, my cousin's wedding. I almost didn't go, but my cousin Jamie called me personally and said, "Sloan, I want you there. Not your wallet, you." So I went. I wore a dress I bought for myself. I sat at a table with cousins I actually liked, and when my mom approached me, smiling, acting like nothing had happened, I was polite, distant, cordial. "Sloan, you look wonderful." "Thanks, Mom. We should catch up soon. Maybe." She waited for me to cave, to apologize, to smooth it over like I always did. I didn't. I just smiled, excused myself, and walked away. That's when she said it. She followed me outside near the parking lot and she said, "You know what your problem is, Sloan? You raised me to disappear." I stopped, turned around. "What?" "You raised me to disappear," I repeated. "You taught me that my value was in what I gave, not who I was. You taught me to be invisible unless I was useful. And I learned that lesson, Mom. I learned it so well that I almost erased myself completely." She stared at me. For the first time, she had nothing to say. "I'm not disappearing anymore," I said, and I got in my car and I left. I'm not telling you this story so you'll pick a side. I'm telling you because maybe you're reading this on your phone right now, sitting in a house you pay for but don't feel at home in. Maybe you're scrolling through family group chats full of requests you never agreed to. Maybe someone in your life has convinced you that saying no makes you selfish. I've been there. I know what that weight feels like. I know what it's like to check your bank account and feel sick. I know what it's like to sit at a table full of family and feel completely alone. I know what it's like to wonder if you're crazy for feeling used. You're not crazy. You're not selfish. You're not wrong. Here's what I wish someone had told me 8 years ago. You are not an ATM machine with a heartbeat. You are not a support system with no needs of your own. Your dreams, your savings, your future, they matter just as much as anyone else's. And if the people around you can't see that, if they only see you as a resource to be tapped, that's not love. I don't care what they call it, that's not love. Leaving wasn't revenge. Some people will call it that. They'll say, "I abandoned my family." They'll say, "I should have tried harder, given more chances." But I gave 8 years of chances. I gave $167,000 worth of chances. I gave every holiday, every weekend, every spare moment I had. What I didn't give was myself, because there was nothing left to give. Leaving was the first time I chose me. And I don't think that's selfish. I think it's the bravest thing I've ever done. I think it's the most loving thing I've ever done for myself. You don't need permission to protect yourself. You don't need the people who hurt you to admit it before you're allowed to walk away. Sometimes you just close the laptop, turn off your phone, and start building a life that's actually yours. My apartment is small. The shower has weird water pressure, but it's mine. Every bill, every piece of furniture, every choice, mine. I still work in IT. I still have hard days. But when I check my bank account now, the money there is money I kept. I have a savings account again. It's growing. Slowly, but growing. And every time I transfer money into it, I feel something I haven't felt in years. Hope. Actual hope for a future that's not just surviving, but living. I've started doing things I never did before. I joined a book club. I took a pottery class. I said yes when a coworker asked me to go hiking. I'm learning who I am when I'm not the family ATM. And she's someone I actually like. Last week, I bought a plane ticket, just for me. I'm going to Seattle in the spring. I've never been. I've always wanted to go. And for the first time in my entire adult life, I didn't ask anyone's permission. I didn't check if someone needed me to stay. I didn't feel guilty. I just booked it in April, and I can't wait. Do I miss my family? Sometimes. I miss the idea of them. I miss what I thought we were, but I don't miss the reality. I don't miss the constant anxiety. I don't miss the texts at midnight asking for money. I don't miss feeling invisible, and maybe someday they'll change. Maybe my mom will understand. Maybe Vanessa will realize that family isn't just about what you can get from someone. Maybe Paige will grow up. Maybe. But I'm not waiting for that, maybe. I'm not putting my life on hold. I'm not staying small so they can stay comfortable. I'm living. Actually living. For the first time in 8 years. And if they never understand, if they spend the rest of their lives saying I'm cold, that I'm selfish, that I abandon them, I can live with that. Because I know the truth. If you stayed until the end, thank you. Truly, I see you, I hear you. And if you're in a situation like mine was, please know you're not alone. You're not wrong. And you're allowed to choose yourself. Now I want to know, Do you think my mom will ever actually understand what she did, or will she always see herself as the victim? Type understand or victim in the comments. I read every single one, and I'll heart the ones that make me think. And if you want more stories like this, check the description. There's another one waiting for you. Because there are so many of us out here learning to choose ourselves. And every time we do, we make it easier for someone else to do the same.